Hello there, and thank you for checking into the Neutral Zone Hotel, an unapologetically left-leaning podcast covering hockey at its best and worst. My name is Trevor. I will be your concierge tonight. My pronouns are he, him, the regretful hometown Vancouver Canucks fan and hopeful PWHL Vancouver fan. And with me today is one of my colleagues.
Hi, I'm Alex. My pronouns are she, her. And I am a Pittsburgh Penguins fan.
Hoorah. Alex, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Excellent, excellent. So as we record, it's an exciting time for hockey. The PWHL Walter Cup finals are underway as of tonight, which is why Benjamin is not here. Lucky bugger. The Minnesota Frost have advanced past the Toronto Scepters in 4 games, making once again the second year in a row that the 4th seed has made it past the top, a higher seed. And the Ottawa Charge also pulled off the surprising upset to become the first ever Canadian team to reach the Walter Cup finals, as they upset the Montreal Victoire as well in 4 games, meaning that in the 5 playoff series we've had in the PWHL playoffs, the lower seed has won every time. Now, this doesn't necessarily bode well for the final, as Minnesota is the 4th seed, Ottawa is the 3rd seed, so ergo Minnesota is the lower seed. So, based off of history, they will be repeating as Walter Cup champions. Please no. But, Alex, have you been able to keep up with or watch any of the postseason for the PW?
Technically, yes.
Technically.
Because I have been watching game 1 of that is ongoing as we record, and you have not been.
No, I have been shamefully not. My VPN likes to screw up after like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then like it loses everything. Plus, I knew we were recording and didn't want to mess with that, so unless I want to shell out for TSN, actually, you know what? Let me do a live double check. Is the CBC going to be streaming this for free like they do with Saturday games? Unlikely. No, they are not. That is unfortunate. But I digress. I'm sure I'll be turning it on after we finish recording for the 3rd period. But I mean, I feel like it's obvious for me that I would want Ottawa to win. A, I want a new team to win. B, I want a Canadian team to win. And C, I feel like the Charge are like the unofficial team of the podcast.
Yeah, no. It's definitely some good reason, especially as like a neutral fan. All good reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But have you considered purple?
I have. And have you considered that they won last year and they also employ Britta Curl?
Yeah, but purple.
Yeah, I guess this is the same matchup that you saw live, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
See, you can. I'll spot you like 2 games, but Ottawa just has to win 3 of them. You already saw 1 win, so they can win 2 more, and then it's all equal, right? You get to cheer for 3, and you get to be sad for 3. Yes. It works out.
I will say, though, watching as someone who does not watch all that often, it is incredibly fun realizing, oh, I guess Britta Curl just touched the puck.
It's very audible.
The background sound is just this massive wave of boos.
The best part is each fan base seems to make it a point of pride to try and be the ones who boo her the loudest.
It's really quite fitting that she is such a dirtbag on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just matches up so well. Like, even if you ignore everything that she said off the ice and everything around her, the stuff that she's done on the ice is... Yeah. It's maybe a bit extreme, but it's definitely understandable that you would boo someone with that incredibly short track record in this league that hard, because she's such a dirty player.
Well, if you include the playoffs, the Frost have played a total of 34 games, and she's been suspended 3 times in those 34 games. Like, that's an almost unprecedented level of suspension.
That is that's I'm going to that's Vontaz perfect levels of suspension. Who is, for those of you who don't know, Vontaz Perfect, and I might be pronouncing the first name wrong, was a American football player, a linebacker for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he was a absolutely insane person who seemed to make it a point to injure anyone he was trying to tackle. He's the guy who fell in the draft because teams were worried that he was going to take too many penalties, and they were right.
Oh no! What era did he play in? Because the name is not familiar to me.
He, I forget when the last year was, or I know when it ended. I forget when he started.
Mm-hmm. Just like, yeah. Well, I guess when was his last year?
His last year was technically 2019, but
Okay.
2018.
So, kind of when I was falling out of paying attention to football, aka when I stopped playing fantasy. But
yeah,
fair enough.
He's the dirtiest player of the modern era, just in terms of amount of suspensions and amount of injuries he has dealt. And yeah, no, that's not a unreasonable comparison for the rate of suspension that Britta Curlis got.
And yet, purple. You know what? I can't fault it. And if you're listening, sing out in the Discord or even in the YouTube comments, wherever, social media, Instagram, Bluesky. Let us know who you're cheering for. Go Charge, go. And then, as well, in the NHL, we have the conference finals set up as the Carolina Hurricanes quickly dispatched of the Washington Capitals. That's me patting myself on the back for correctly calling that one. And the Florida Panthers took out the Toronto Maple Leafs in, shocker of all shockers, Game 7. Once again, that's me patting myself on the back for calling that one.
Yeah, that's the most...
It was the leafiest way to go out.
Yeah, it went how everyone kind of expected it was going to go after they laid the egg in Game 5, which was get a gritty, solid win to Game 6 to tie the series back up, and then lose Game 7.
Yep, and for the Leafs, there's only 2 ways to do it. You either make it extremely close and make it heartbreaking, or you get absolutely demoralized, and they picked the latter. It's been very funny listening to certain Leafs fans lose their marbles over it again.
This is, like, I think it's something that I know multiple people have kind of noticed as a pattern, but the one that I'm most familiar with having done it is Down Goes Brown, Sean McIndoe, which was that this Leafs team is not a team that necessarily has a problem when the going gets tough. If you put their back against the wall, they are going to respond well. Hence their Game 6 performance. The problem with this team has always been when things are going well, they have a lot of problems keeping it going well. They start to take their foot off the gas. And hockey is a sport with a lot of individual games, a lot of individual factors, a lot of different ways that you can and should measure the success of a team and a group of players. But with that being said, it sure feels like this Leafs team cannot be clutch.
Nope. if clutch was a gene, the Leafs have 0 of them and probably had them just pulled out of them. It's also very funny that Brad Marchand now becomes the player with the most lifetime victories against one single team in Game 7s, as this is the 5th time he's beaten the Leafs in a Game 7.
Yeah.
And his 8th... so I was also thinking about it too. He's got 8 wins in Game 7s. 3 of them came in like his first full season, and after that, it's all been Leafs. So, the man... Hate him all we want, and I will be the first to admit, yeah, I hate him. He knows how to make things interesting, and as much as I obviously can say I hate him, I can't say it anywhere more than like Leafs fans. I think they have all the right in the world to just utterly despise that rat.
Yeah.
But, so that's for the East. And over in the West, we had the Dallas Stars top the Winnipeg Jets in 6. Pats on the back for all of us all around, as we all called that one correctly. So, pat you on the back there, Alex. Good job. And then the one that I personally ate crow on, the Edmonton Oilers stomped the Vegas Golden Knights in 5 games. Oof, that one felt bad. But
yeah,
how did you do with your picks? Because we did that 2 weeks ago when we recorded.
Yeah. Wow. I think I know I went with the Leafs.
Yeah, I think Benjamin did as well.
I think I got everything else correct besides that.
Yeah, you got the Oilers, and I think you and I both said the Hurricanes. I want to say Benjamin said the Capitals.
Yeah.
We'll have to go back and listen, but yeah. So yeah, and it's nice to know. Winnipeg did make it interesting there for a bit. I thought like maybe if they win that in overtime and it goes to Game 7, then maybe we get a little collar tugging, but no. Dallas finished it early. Early in that overtime off of the Mark Scheifele penalty. And speaking of that poor guy going through the ringer, finding out his father passed away on the day of the game, scores a goal, but then also take the penalty. Although we also learned that he was concussed in the St. Louis series, so as was, I want to say, Josh Morrissey was as well.
I don't know.
There was one other player, but so as we record, puck is dropped between Carolina and Florida, excuse me. Alex, what do you predict for that series?
I don't know. I'll go ahead and say that the hockey gods have forsaken us, do not want us to enjoy things, and Carolina wins. Though I think that it won't be as bad as I just made it sound.
Yeah.
But
Carolina's been probably one of the most dominant teams these playoffs because I think they've only lost 2 games so far. Like both they beat New Jersey in 5, they beat Washington in 5. I agree with you. I think Carolina takes it. I think it will be harder. Like I think it's going to be in 6, but I do also think they put to rest the demons from last year when Florida swept them.
Yeah.
Culminating in a big Game 1 victory from them tonight. This is either going to age very well or very poorly. I'm sure John will have a little note in here later on to ensure if my prediction is correct or not. But
yeah, I'm not going to predict the game.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm willing to put my stamp on Game 1. And then Dallas and Edmonton, a famous. I want to say this is actually like the 7th or 8th time these two teams have met in the playoffs. They have a pretty solid playoff rivalry between the two. Do we have thoughts on that one?
Personally, I want Dallas to win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of torn on it because Edmonton's the last Canadian team in the playoffs. It would be cool to have a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup in the context of everything that's going on. The problem is Edmonton is just about the only Canadian team that I can't kind of put into that hole cleanly, just because everything about the approach that they've taken with their roster building.
And their front office.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. It is enough to make me be able to overlook that in favor of a team that I find really fun, has taken the big swing, which Carolina also tried to do this season.
To be fair, if Dallas and Carolina met in the final, how fun would that be? Like the Mikko Rantanen discourse was already fun during Dallas, Colorado. Now, if it's Dallas, Carolina,
it would be so much fun.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I want Dallas to actually win this. Because while it could be great for a Canadian team to win, I agree. I want to see a Canadian team win, but I want to see my Canadian team win. The rest of these folks can suffer. They don't deserve it. They've all won, or they haven't waited long enough. Where's my gratification? I want to be the one to break this curse, or at least I want my team to be the one to break this curse and this drought. So, no, the rest of y'all can wait. I also just realized it's the same Final Four as it was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hey folks, this is SJ breaking in to note that Trevor and Alex have completely memory holed the fact that it was actually the New York Rangers in the Final Four last year and not the Carolina Hurricanes. The New York Rangers beat the Carolina Hurricanes in the second round, 4-2. And I know that's a little bit hard to believe considering the season that we just watched the Rangers play, but it's true and also extremely funny. So that's it. Thanks.
Huh. Yeah, I think it's also going to be some version. I think Dallas is going to take this in 7. And it might be a Southern Stanley Cup final, but that is okay. Red and green it's going to be a very Christmassy final. I'll say that much.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So before we move along, we just want to remind you that we mentioned a little bit earlier, but come follow us on social media at Neutral Zone Hotel on Bluesky, on Instagram, on YouTube. Just follow, interact, leave comments, all that jazz. We'd love to hear from y'all. And as well, we would love to hear from you in our Discord. If you go to neutralzonehotel.com/Discord, you'll find an invite link to our server. We hang out there pretty often. We're pretty chatty. We're pretty active. It's not just about hockey, too. We'll talk about whatever. So come along, have fun, hang out with us. And yeah, we are going to take a quick break. And when we return, we're going to have a fun little first-time segment. Woo. And we are back because of the nature of where we are in the season, as well as, honestly, there's been almost no news this season. Plus, it's just me and Alex. So I said, screw it, let's have some fun today. So we actually opened up to our Discord asking for questions. We're going to do a bit of a mini mailbag.
Crawl vetoed my idea to just spend an hour and a half creating different Mitch Marner scenarios. Something about the market being oversaturated and not what we want to do.
Yeah, let's do an all episode. What would it look like for Mitch Marner to play for all 31 other teams?
Exactly.
But speaking of Crawl, our first 2 questions are from him. We're going to start with hockey. Slowly evolve elsewhere before we rotate back.
Hold on. I'm gonna stop you there.
Oh.
Crawl's second question. Save that for last. because I suspect that the two of us could go, could just finish up the episode. We would not stop talking about that.
Well, is this the Pokemon one?
Yeah.
Okay, I will admit I only have 6 because I made a full starting lineup for them.
Okay.
But
yeah,
so
I did. I just have a few fun ones. So
all right, yeah. So we'll start off with that. Well, let's do that one kind of early. We'll get that one out of the way though. But first one was name the PWHL expansion teams. Honestly speaking, Seattle's name is perfect and is already taken by New York because the Seattle Sirens would be perfect. But I think honestly for Vancouver, I think the Vancouver Valkyries is a really good name.
the problem with doing that, it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate matter of timing. The Valkyries is a brand new WNBA franchise.
Oh no, who stole that?
The Golden State Valkyries.
Boo, Golden State. Cowards.
So you are quite literally about like 6 months too late.
Buggers. So funny thing too is 2 years ago I was actually spitballing with a friend of mine who asked me, he's like, come up with like 20 team names for like women's hockey teams. So I actually think for Seattle, what about the Seattle Splash? Because we like their S names. See the Seahawks, the Sounders, the Supersonics. It's also a bit nautical themed as well. I feel like I need to quickly steal one for Vancouver. So if you want to fire off a couple.
Boy, I should have put some thought into this. Yeah, because now that you said it, I can't stop thinking of Valkyries, and it would be a great name. It would be like the perfect name, except for the fact that it just got taken, and also it doesn't meet PWHL naming standards, which is
mostly singular.
Yes.
Like no plural. Well, I will throw out the Scepters and the
the Siren's singular.
Yeah, the Sirens. Yeah. There's 2 plural names. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? No, I have one. This might be a little bit of bias because of how much I like them, but the Vancouver Owls. No one's ever the Owls, and they're incredible creatures. I love me a good owl. So if they made a sports team based on the Owls, I was already all in merch. I would buy everything. Just inject it into my veins.
I think the branding for that would be really fun, or like the extended branding for that, because you could go into a real Athena theme, an Athena theming to kind of just to match the women's hockey aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh man, they need to hire us. We're marketing geniuses.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you have any, or are you willing to just put a pin in it and we'll move along?
I don't have anything serious. Like the first thought that I go to is, you know what? Bring back the Supersonics and the Grizzlies. That's the 2 team names.
Hey, the one downside is if we did the Grizzlies, unfortunately, we'd have the color scheme. Oh, you know what? They would be matching the Memphis Grizzlies color scheme. So, they stole something from us, but we can steal it back in a way. I'm down for that. All right. Yeah. And the second question from Crawl, and arguably the most fun one we have, which NHL players as Pokemon, basically like what NHL players would be which Pokemon. So I alluded to this earlier. I have a starting lineup of 6 players and what Pokemon they would be. But it sounds like you also came up with some yourself. So do we just kind of want to go back and forth for a few?
No, you do your 6 because you probably put more thought into yours than I did into mine.
I mean, I don't know about that. But all right. So starting on the forward lines. On wing, Brad Marchand is Alolan Rattata.
Yeah, I kind of think Rattata's too basic a Pokemon to give Brad Marchand. Even the Alolan variant, which I agree fits Marchand a lot better because it is a dark type, and so is Brad Marchand.
It's also got the little facial hair going on there.
Yep. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought maybe Eradicate, but it's like, no, Marchand's too small. He can't be. Starting on center, Sidney Crosby is a Pikachu. He's been the main focus and mascot for the NHL for 20 years at this point.
Yep.
And yellow and black.
The Pokemon that I have for Sidney Crosby is Feraligatr. Because they both have incredible asses.
Shout out to Feraligatr, good pull. And finally, for the forward line, Alex Ovechkin is a Zacian. He is a legendary, or they're both legendary beasts at what they do. Plus, Zacian's dex number is 888.
Yep.
So I thought that was a nice little nod there. Sorry to Eric that I had to pick something from Generation 8. I know you requested Gen 1. No, sorry, I can't do it. You try and get like hockey players out of Gen 1 Pokemon. It's not easy. The fact that I have 4 on this roster is impressive to me. Well, I guess caveat, we'll call it 3.5 because I'm counting Alolan Rattata on that. But on defense, I have Brent Burns as an Ursaring. Just big and hairy.
Yep.
Quinn Hughes is a Cubone because they both look like they're ready to cry at a moment's notice. And finally, in net, Jacob Markstrom is a Pidgeot. Because, Alex, have you seen Jacob Markstrom's headshot from this year?
I don't think I have.
All right,
but the fact that it's being compared to a Pidgeot means that I already have a strong idea of what it looks like.
Here, I'm going to post this in the chat here, if you can see it. There we go. There's the link.
Okay. Yeah?
Bit of a ferocious look, kind of a big wide-eyed stare, but that long mane of hair.
Oh,
That's a Pidgeot mane of hair.
Some other ones, just because Brad Marchand's a fun player to think about this with.
Mm-hmm.
Licky Licky.
I forgot all about that. Wow, great pull. Great pull.
For a different aspect of it, Crocodile, because it is the most, like, this person is a villain, this person is a heel type Pokemon.
This literally could just be a segment of Brad Marchand is this Pokemon for this reason.
Yes.
And, like, do it, you know what? We'll do 4 hours, do all 1,025 Pokemon.
Oh, God. We could do that.
Oh, man. You know what? It's not even 1,025 because there's also like the Alolan, the Galarian, and the Paldean forms. It's probably closer to like 1,050 at this point. 5 hours. We could do it. Summer projects.
We won't, but we could.
But we could.
The other one, or another one, would be Marc-Andre Fleury is a Klefki.
Interesting. Okay. Is this like due to him like stealing keys to vehicles and such?
Well, specifically because Klefki is one of the most iconic holders of the Pokemon ability Prankster.
Oh, we're getting real deep into the weeds here. I love it. I love it.
So yeah, he's done a bunch of car-related pranks, but he's just a whole prankster type guy.
Mm-hmm.
Another choice, if you are, I actually think Zacian is a really great choice for Alex Ovechkin.
Thank you.
It's for a Pokemon whose signature ability is to have an attack boost when he comes into battle. Really suitable for Ovechkin's playstyle. I also think, and there's a few players that this could apply to. Klotzer would be a good guy for Alex Ovechkin, just because Klotzer is it's a bullet crab with a bazooka for a claw, just sitting there in the back, firing off shots.
And not to mention a
launching
shiny
cannons.
Clawitzer is like bright red with a little bit of blue in it. Matches that
Yep.
Capitals jersey.
For Ursaring, I know he's not an active player anymore. He's not in the league. But I think you absolutely have to think about, it's the thing where I can never pronounce names ever. Big Buff.
Oh, Dustin Bufflin. Yeah. I wanted to try and get one for King Henrik Lundqvist, but there's not really a lot of good King Pokemon. Like, the only ones that really have crowns is like Slowking. Do you really? I know Slowking's a genius, but like that comes from the Slowpoke line. That seems just mean to do to King Hank. I thought maybe King Gambit as well, but don't know.
There's a fair bit of King Pokemon. I don't know how well you would do.
Nidoking, Slacking.
Yeah.
I just really fit his vibe.
Kingdra, maybe?
Yeah, elegant, fancy. But I don't see Kingdra being a good goaltender. I'll say that.
Yeah. Like I kind of think if you're looking for goaltender vibes, honestly, I think Galarian Slowbro might be the best bet there. Or not Slowbro, Slowking.
Galarian Slowking. No, you know what? It'd be Slacking, because Slacking would just sit in front of the net and block it.
Yeah.
But again, that feels like doing a disservice to Henrik Lundqvist.
I'm sure. I think if we kind of think about it more, well, as opposed to just like an hour's thought, or in like maybe 5 minutes towards Lundqvist specifically, but let's see. Oh, Austin Matthews gets to be Archeops.
Okay.
Archeops is a Gen 5, I believe, fossil type Pokemon. No, yeah, Gen 5 fossil type Pokemon. Has really great stats, fast, strong offense. Is a really great Pokemon, except for its ability, which is Defeatist. When they
oh my god.
When he falls below half health, his speed and his attack suddenly disappear.
I love this. You know, and maybe that's the whole, because apparently he was injured since like training camp. Maybe that's the excuse. Yeah. I love that so much. That is an excellent poll.
All right.
You got any more, or do we want to move on?
Let's move on.
All right. Staying in the realm of Pokemon, this we got a batch of questions from Discord user Maple Syrup. Favorite gym leaders, Elite Four members, and /or champions. Alex, I'm gonna let you start because I have a couple in mind, but I'd like to, because it sounds like you've got a lot of knowledge, at least for the game stuff. So I would love to hear your.
My favorite, or at least the one that comes to mind when I think favorite is has to be Chantel, the Ghost type specialist from Generation 5.
Okay. It's been a long time since I played Gen 5. That game like whooshes over me so much.
Yep. Goth girl novelist uses ghost type Pokemon. Next. Move on.
Yeah. For me, it's got to be Larry.
Oh, Larry's incredible.
Larry is the most relatable because he just, he's a Gen 9 gym leader who originally uses normal types, and his whole thing is he's a businessman who just doesn't want to be working. Yep. And almost complains the whole fight. And then you find out later that he's a member of the Elite Four and he's doing double duty. And I've never related harder to someone who's basically got to do 2 different jobs while probably only getting paid for one of them. Yeah. Larry is a millennial icon. Love him to pieces. You got any other favorites? Because I feel like I had another one before. And
Larry's definitely one of my honorable mentions. I don't think any of them are. I don't think anyone else is kind of, I feel like, worth mentioning right now.
Yeah. I will say as well, I need to. What's the name of the bug gym leader in Scarlet and Violet?
Katie.
Katie. Katie is waifu tier.
Fair enough.
Yep. And I will leave my degeneracy right there.
Fair
All right.
enough.
Second question. How can Rowlet be any better? So, for context, Rowlet is my all-time favorite Pokemon. It is a Gen 7 starter. It's just a little owl boy. He's adorable. He's super funny. He's got all the greatest GIFs on... Like, if you just search up Rowlet on a GIF searcher, you find a whole lot of funny clips. I have... Alex, you might be able to see this on my camera, but I got like 4 Rowlet plushies hanging on my back wall, as well as some commissioned art. I also have like 3 more plushies of it in my living room. And my answer is it can't. Literally can't. Rowlet is perfection.
Okay. I don't know if I want to keep this in here, or if I want this to be part of the actual episode. So one of the YouTubers I like to watch is a Then We Fight Pokemon YouTuber. And one of the things that he does is he has, he's kind of modded Pokemon fusions into Sword and Shield.
Okay.
And one of the fusions that he has is a fusion of Decidueye and Phalanx.
Oh boy. Okay.
And the way that they've designed it in game is they've replaced all the Phalanx bodies with little Rowlets. So it's a group of 6 Rowlets wearing the helmets.
I need a link to this immediately after we're done. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'll see if I can scrounge that up.
Please do. All right. We'll cut back in here. All right. An actual legit hockey question. What was the best iteration of the Vancouver Canucks and what was the worst?
That's all you.
Yeah. Like I feel like it has to be the 2011 team. Like that team between 2009 to 2011 was just an incredible hockey team. I have a lot of love as well for the West Coast Express, but they didn't exactly have the successes. But like it's got it. Even beyond statistically, that team was just very fun to watch, and I know a lot of people hated them, potentially rightfully so. There was a lot of like players that you would hate until they're on your team, and go figure, the Canucks had a lot of them. But I was actually talking with someone recently, and it was just like, how spoiled were we to be watching the Sedin twins during their peak? Because how much they influenced the game, even if we don't realize it now. Like the prevalence of the cycle game is thanks to them. Like before them, it wasn't a very common thing, and now you can't watch a game without that being a major part of systems. So just to watch them in action was a treat, and just, you know, some good personalities. Bieksa, Luongo, Kessler when he wasn't being a piss baby. As for the worst, like statistically, it's the early teams of the 70s and whatnot. The normal answer would be to say the 98 to 2000 team that had Messier, but the problem is this is when I came into fruition as a hockey fan, so I actually have positive memories because I didn't understand wins and losses. I just like to watch my favorite team. I didn't care. I didn't know if they were good or not. It's like, hey, the Whale, I like them. They're cool. So I will actually probably say this modern iteration between about 2021 to 2023, and actually maybe even a little bit before, between like 2016 to, let's just go 2016 to 2023. Admit, like, the COVID year was an interesting one because, they were on pace to make the playoffs, but other than that, it was always a case of, we think we're good enough and we're just going to sign a couple key, like, extra pieces that'll get us over the hump, and then just falling flat on their face. They never blew it up to do a full rebuild. It was just constantly retooling, and it's worked out in a sense in that they've lucked into a couple great players in the draft that they really shouldn't have. But at the same token, like, you could have had a lot better. So, it was just very painful hockey to watch. So, yeah, we'll do basically, we'll do like the era just before COVID. So 2016 to 2019, we'll call the most painful. All right, and then the final question. What Magic the Gathering colors do you not play, whether it be a solo color or a dual color? Alex, you are not a Magic the Gathering player, correct?
I am not. No.
Okay. So for you, it's all of them. For me, it's white. I never I have 3 commander decks. I don't play white in any of them. Funnily enough, though, my 2 most recent pre-release decks had white in them, and I did very good with them. It's probably a color that I underrate, but it's just never clicked with me. And even then, like going dual, blue-green is never one that I've really gotten a handle on. Like the 3 decks that I have one that's blue-red, I have one that's black-red, and I have one that's black-green. The pre-release decks I built were a green-white and a black-white. So I got a little bit of variance there, but I don't think I've ever built anything that's blue-green. So I'm going to go with that one. Katie Killjoy asks, MTG-coded hockey cards.
That's not what he asked.
Sorry, hockey-coded MTG cards. I worded that backwards. Wow. To which I have to say, I don't friggin' know. There's like 30,000 Magic cards, and I've never noticed any of them that are like, oh, this seems hockey-related. If you asked me if it was like a metal band or like this seems like a metal album, absolutely, 100%. It's a very fun game to play. Is if I pull out a metal card or a Magic card and be like, all right, is this a Magic card or a metal band? Like, you know what? Here, can I do that right now? Let's pull out a black card right here.
Okay.
It's called. Nah. Yeah, there we go. Magic card, Carrion Crow. That sounds like a black metal band. Fatal Push. Yeah, that's a metal band. So, sorry, Katie, I gotta disappoint you. I got nothing. But now that you've said that, I'm going to be thinking about that the next time I do drafts. Friend SJ asks
Never
us,
heard of them.
favorite dessert foods? Which, gotta say, great question. So, Alex, what are your favorite desserts?
Madeleines, pretty much any type of cake. But particularly like pound cakes.
Sorry, now I got an Egoraptor video in my head. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I think I'm going to stop there because otherwise I would just not stop.
Valid. Like, dessert is the greatest invention in terms of cuisine. For me, it's apple pie. Apple pie with a bullet. I do also love me an apple crumble. I'm also a big fiend for ice cream. Although, you know what? I don't like ice cream with my pie.
Fruit pies are basically the one category of traditional desserts that are not for me.
You know what? That just means more for me. I'll let you have cakes and all the other stuff.
Yep.
As much as I may like cake, I will let you have it in exchange for the pies.
Yep. No. Perfect.
And so we got 2 left. We're going to finally go into the hockey-related ones again. NASA Muffin asks us, what are the most iconic hockey hairstyles? We had one that was slightly spoiled in the Discord, but it's got a Jaromir Jagr's mullet.
Absolutely.
It is the epitome of hockey hair.
The mullet is, for a long time, and once again, starting to be again the hockey haircut. And Jaromir Jagr's mullet was the mullet.
The mullet, 100%. You got any other ones in mind? Because I've got a few that I can think of, at least, like, players who had iconic hair.
The player... the first one that came to mind, to me, at least, is Austin Matthews' hairline. Which you can quibble about how much of it is a style, but it's certainly iconic.
Yep.
And then I'll throw this out there. I'd say Brent Burns, whole deal. Facial hair is still hair.
That's right.
And so Burns, Thornton, pretty much anyone who becomes notable for having a massive beard, I'd say that's an iconic hairstyle.
Yep. Larry Robinson. This is a real, like, well, not necessarily real, but this is like a much older cut. Like, this is the 70s, but back when they didn't have helmets and his hair basically like stood on its end. Like, it basically added an extra like 4 inches of height to him. Because it was just like a massive puff of curls. Guy Lafleur's hair is also iconic, especially again without the helmet.
Yeah.
Also, one that's a little more modern, although still like from the 90s, 2000s. Do you remember Mike Ricci?
I remember the name. I do not recall the haircut.
Mike Ricci had a face that only a mother could love, but man had a beautiful mane of hair. And this is another deep cut. Alex, for like 2 seasons, do you remember when Jerome McGinley had hair?
I can picture the hairline.
All right. If not, it's all right. I'm going to send you a link. This is a hockey card that I remember has it. When you see it, you'll understand what... Yeah.
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 I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's not pretty. But... yeah, no, I think, again, he only had it for like a year, maybe 2 years, and then immediately like shaved it all off. But there's one other card, like there's a hockey card that has it incredibly well, if I can find it. But yeah, basically, yeah, if you're at all curious, what I originally looked up for it, it's the... what did I look up? It was, Jerome Iginla Tops. That's with 2 P's. It's from Tops Heritage 2000-2001. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna link this in the executive producer thing, or even actually in our production document. I'm just gonna let John find that, because it is... I don't want to say it's glorious, because it's not, but it stands out. And, I don't want to spoil. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it. I need y'all to look this up for yourself. Alex has to see it, so now you do too.
The last iconic hockey hairstyle. I'm saving this for last because I know you have traumatic memories associated with it. Mark Messier's bald, shiny head.
God damn it, Alex! What did I ever do to you? We couldn't pick any of the other bald players. You had to go with Messier.
The question is most iconic, and Mark Messier, for better or worse, is most iconic. Like,
yeah.
I might think of Chad Ruedel every time I think of bald player as my go-to. That guy's bald, and he knows what he's doing by shaving his head. But unless you're a college hockey guy or a fan of the Penguins, Sabres, or Rangers, you're not going to know who he is. You're going to know who Mark Messier, presenter of the Mark Messier Leadership Award for Mark Messier's advancements in leadership.
Sponsored by Bridgestone. Yeah. And I will throw out one women's hockey one in here. I know a lot of them wear ponytails and whatnot, but there's one player that sticks out to me as more iconic. Emma Malte. She's got the ponytail that's a bit sticks a bit higher up, but then she's also got like the 2 like kind of bangs dripping down like on either side of her head there. If you asked me to look, like if you lined up all like the women hockey players side by side, she'd be the first one I'd be able to point out just based off of a hairstyle.
All right.
And finally, our last question from Callie: who is the modern day Ray Bourque? So there's a couple ways to take this. I kind of interpreted it as, who's going to have has or is going to have a long career, a very successful career, even if they may not have the hardware, because I think Bourque only ended up with 1 or 2 Norris trophies, despite being a perennial finalist, but also maybe only reached the hump at the very end of their career, if at all ever.
Yeah. I'd add went to another team to do so.
Ooh, that's a good caveat. Yeah, good call.
Went to another team to do so, and the team that he left does not see it as a betrayal. and
Ooh,
and celebrates the fact that he won.
Celebrated. Okay, because I was originally gonna say Quinn Hughes, because successful, maybe like a top tier defenseman, but always kind of overlooked in his own era.
Yep.
Isn't gonna find success in his original market and is gonna go to another market to do so, New Jersey. But I feel like Vancouver fans would be a little bitter about that. So
it depends on when he goes and
That's
the
true.
circumstances around when he goes. If he sticks around for another 10 years, is like Vancouver's strongest soldier, but the team just doesn't back him up, and then his next contract extension expires or is about to expire, and he's like, hey, could you trade me to somewhere? I think that's a lot different than if he like leaves 2 years from now.
Yeah, 100%. But like aside from that, is there any other players that you can think of that like fit this criteria? Because this is a really good question.
We'll see if they end up fitting it, but I think one of Austin Matthews or Nylander might end up doing it. I think it's weird since the situation around the Leafs during this quarter has been such a I don't want to say toxic, but potentially carcinogenic vibe to it, that I don't know if there's enough space for anyone to build up the necessary goodwill in the Maple Leafs market. But I think that if you're looking in terms of like caliber of player and success, that's definitely one track one could do it. The other guy who I just thought of that I need to double check, who I think would get that level of support from the fans that he's leaving, if the arc follows, would be a guy like or another one that might do this, very similar to the Hughes is Rasmus Dahlin.
Oh yeah, I see where you're going for with that.
Just in terms of Hughes has been closer to the hardware, but he's also been closer to team success.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, because it's important to remember too that Ray Bourque took the Bruins to like 2 or 3 cup finals in the late 80s. Like, yeah, the team success is there even. So Dahlin's got to get a couple more years of success, I think, before he can get that.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what you mean. What about players though? Because like Ray Bourque retired, like won the cup and then retired in like 01. What about like in between 01 to like this modern era? Was there a player who like played in that time, like retired recently, but swapped to a team to win a cup, and everyone's like, "Cool, good for you"? Because
not off the top of my head, like the closest that I think we would have come would be if we saw one of the Sharks, like if we saw Marlowe or Thornton.
Actually do it.
Just because I don't think, especially with the Sharks being what they were as they left, I don't think there was any. You've got that like sustained success level, getting them close, the personal protection, the general likability, but the teams that they ended up going to did not have the success that they were hoping for.
You know what? Because you mentioned the Sharks, Joe Pavelski is a decent candidate for this as well. He never did make the hump, but he was on that Sharks team that made the final, and then he goes and makes the final again with Dallas.
Yeah.
And like, I don't I can't imagine any Sharks player that would have been bitter to see him get that success or would get that ring had he won it there, right? So,
Yep.
Even though he didn't win it, I think we can probably put a safe call on Joe Pavelski as being a modern day Ray Bourque.
Or as close as you can get.
As close to it. This was a fantastic question, though, Callie. Thank you so much for that one, and thank you to everyone who did respond to the 3 hours of notice to get questions in.
Along those lines, and since his name's already been noted, just because he's another guy that did not come particularly close in his cup chasing efforts, is Iginla.
Oh yeah, and he definitely that's a player I think anyone would have liked. Like, if you asked me to rank every single one of the 32 franchises, Calgary is number 32 with a bullet, and I would have been happy to see Jarome Iginla win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it's
if the Flames had won in 2004, I'd have been like, cool, good for Iginla. The rest of you can go burn. But yeah, he's another one and he never really got the success. Do you ever think he kicks himself for nixing that trade to the Bruins in 2013?
Yeah. Although, was that the one that he nixed, or was that the one that it got all screwy because both the Penguins and the Bruins were trading, and he thought he was going to the Bruins, but the Penguins got the trade call through first?
I thought the rumor was that the Bruins tried to trade for him, and he said no so that he could go to Pittsburgh. It's
Maybe.
been 13 years. It's something to look up for sure, but yeah. Again, it seemed good up until that conference final.
Yeah, that trade deadline was a mess. And Iginla was... the fit in Pittsburgh was unfortunately not good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Also, quick question. Aside from those 3 franchises that we named, the Bruins, the Flames, and the Penguins, what other 2 teams did Jarome Iginla play for?
Oh.
One's a real deep cut, but the other one might be well known. It's the one that he scored his 600th goal with, and if I remember correctly, it was like a fluke, like it went off his butt or something like that.
I don't remember the other teams that he went to in his...
Yeah, in his career.
Career.
Yeah, after Boston, he went to Colorado.
Oh, I should have known that.
And his last season, after Colorado wasn't working out, he went to Los Angeles.
Oh, that Colorado decision, if I recall correctly, that was a weird choice on his part.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was a Colorado team that was not good and was not looking to be in, and was still a couple years away from any sort of contention.
Also, you want to know what else is just extremely weird about all that? Iginla didn't wear 12 in Los Angeles, at least to start. When he got traded there, he was number 88.
Yeah.
And seeing him in any number that's not 12 is just wrong. But, yeah. That's what I was saying. But yeah, so I think we're about done here. Again, thank you so much to everybody for your questions and, for making us think on multiple different topics. I had fun with this. Alex, did you?
Oh, yeah. No, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, we might do some more of that, especially when we hit summertime, and we'll probably do a little more notice instead of, again, literally 3 hours prior to recording. But heck, we were running the show today. We get to choose what to do. So with that said, actually, sorry, before I do say that, Alex, you got any closing comments before we head on out of here?
Nope.
All right. I've got one. Go Charge. Sorry, Alex, no purple. Not this year. You have been listening to the Neutral Zone Hotel, which is written, hosted, and produced by the Neutral Zone Hotel crew. That's us. You can find out more about us over at neutralzonehotel.com. And don't forget to add / and type Discord after that. Hit the enter button to get a link to our Discord server. Please come and hang out with us. I swear, we're pretty cool. You can also follow us on socials, Instagram, Bluesky, YouTube, at Neutral Zone Hotel on all 3 of those. Like, comment, subscribe, 5 stars, whatever you gotta do. And you know what? I'm gonna challenge you as well, dear listener. Send this podcast to one of your friends. Just one. Encourage them to give us a listen because we would appreciate it. And if they like what they hear, maybe they can pass it on as well. But we love we love making content for you guys, and we just, you know, we do hope that eventually we can reach out to your ears. And finally, shout out as well to our friend Emily Mowbray for designing our fabulous logo. We always appreciate it, and every time it shows up in my feed, I love looking at it. Regardless, thank you so much for your stay with us today. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.